and move on to questions, whichever you prefer.
Let's dive right in. It's been a while.
All right, we'll start with Andy Greeter.
Hey, Richard, how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. Obviously, a big moment tomorrow with Daniel being drafted. We've talked about his development and what he means to the program. Is there a story or anecdote that you think you'll be remembering about Dan, say a couple years down the road?
Yeah, for sure. Daniel really chose Minnesota for all the reasons that we constantly try to sell, but may not always be as simple as maybe they should be. And he valued playing for the name on the front of the jersey. He valued his family being at the games. He valued that network, whether it's his high school coaches, AU coaches. He cared about that. He was one where we play in a rivalry game, whether it was Wisconsin or Iowa, and you'd be given a talk in the locker room and he'd be sitting there you could tell more excited about this game versus Purdue or Indiana because he grew up with it, so he just got a great level of pride for Minnesota. And that's why it's so very, very important that we respect all that he's been able to do, whether it's help us go to an NCAA tournament his freshman year, become an All-American, because he's proud to be a Minnesotan. And the more that we embrace those guys and talk less about the other ones, more and more are going to want to do that. And it's a great story. I'm excited for him. My wife asked me yesterday, hey, can you take Jack to basketball? I said, no, I'm watching the draft. I'm not going to be bothered because it's a great moment for him.
Thanks, Andy. We'll go next to Marcus Fuller.
Coach, just more on Daniel. Just talk about, when you first recruited him, obviously he has NBA dreams, like anybody comes to college, but, when did you think he had the NBA potential? And then what would it mean for your draft drought to end with Daniel on Wednesday?
Well, it's been too long, right? Chris Humphreys, I'm not sure the exact year, but, that's a very, very long drought. And the growth of the program, that's very, very important. I remember when I was at the University of Florida and I just got the job, and you always have kind of what you sell, right? And in Florida, we sold Joakim Noah, Al Horford, Corey Brewer, their draft picks more so than back-to-back national titles. And that may sound crazy, but it's reality. For our program to have back-to-back players out of the state of Minnesota go to the NBA, that just shows the growth of the program. And it wasn't like either one of them were these go wherever and you're going to be a pro and it doesn't matter. Now, that's not to take away from their ability. They're both very, very good players. But, I really feel like Amir choosing here, Daniel choosing here really benefited them. And it got them, Amir really only played here for about 2 years because of an injury, 2.5 years, Daniel 2 years. So that's huge for the growth of the program. You want to win, you want to graduate players, but you also want to show that you can help them achieve their dreams. So we're really excited about it.
Thank you, Marcus. We'll go to Joe Schmidt.
You're on mute.
I make a lot more sense when I'm on mute. But besides having to close down the program for a couple of days, with the uncertainty of when, if, and how this season is going to be played, have you seen the impact on the players in their preparation? Is there a difference between this season than last season in your preseason?
Oh my God, it's the biggest difference I've ever seen in my life. I mean, this is not even a little bit normal. Normally you get 8 weeks in the summer where you get them acclimated. Well, that was pretty much optional for us this summer. A lot of guys stayed home. We didn't have everybody. The preseason's not even close to normal. Normally by this time you have a maroon gold scrimmage. Maybe it's open to the fans. And, it doesn't seem like a huge deal, but just getting new guys, you got 6 new players, get the jitters out a little bit. Maybe you have a scrimmage versus a Division I opponent that you've played or an exhibition game. 1000% totally different. Then there's the uncertainty. Like we don't even know what time we're playing next Wednesday. You know, I had a parent call me and say, "Hey, do you know the time?" And I'm like, "No, I don't. I'm not lying to you. I'm not like, we just don't know." So you take it day to day, and everybody's dealing with this in every profession, anywhere you go, they're dealing with it. You just got to live for today. I know these guys want to play. We want to play, but we want to make sure we're doing it in the safest possible way.
Thanks, Joe. Up next is Dave Campbell.
Hey, Coach. Yeah, so you are planning to play next Wednesday. I'm just wondering, you're still planning on getting the max 7, I guess, non-conference games? And second part of the question is, you got so many new guys. I'm wondering, with every team going through such abnormal sort of proceedings, like maybe you think maybe it doesn't hurt you as much to have to break in so many new guys with everything kind of turned upside down?
Well, we are planning on playing the 7, but with the understanding that, you know, anything can happen. It's going to be just a totally different non-conference than it's ever been, but, you know, we'd like to be able to do it. You know, our guys need games. You know, it's an opportunity for them, you know, to you know, they have careers. They want to play professionally. I told them the 27 opportunities that you have, if you are on TV, it could help you. With that being said, you know, we gotta be ready to adjust. We have to be, you know, for me as a coach, you saying 6 new guys, the world turned upside down. It's that way for everybody. I got to do my best to make the most of it. You know, you're looking at college football right now. When we play the games, nobody wants to hear excuses. It doesn't matter. And that's for everybody. You know, I think in my 7 years being here, I try really, really hard to stay away from that. So we've got to be able to adapt. You know, I've tried to simplify things offensively and defensively, and be prepared. Like, hey, today so-and-so could be out. You know, we just don't know what's coming. It's a new adventure every day, but you got to be able to adapt.
Thanks, Dave. Darren Wolfson, you're up next.
Richard, thanks for doing this. Just take us through the COVID roller coaster. Are you guys now back to full team practices? How many days were you shut down? Is everybody okay?
Everybody's good. You know, I'm not going to get into the specifics just because I don't even know entirely what I'm allowed to say, what I'm not allowed to say, but we shut down for, I think, 5 days. You know, there's an old adage that assistant coaches have every excuse in the book. And I was an assistant once. And whenever you have a day off in practice and you come back the next day, you normally have a bad practice. And you always say as an assistant, "Oh, don't worry, coach, you know, day after a day off." Well, there's nothing worse than when you're in the middle of this and you're taking, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, you know, whatever it is. We were able to get some individual instruction stuff with guys who didn't have it, but we paused for a good amount. And it looks like we paused for a good amount. But, you know, like we've said, I mean, we're not rushing guys back. We're going to make sure that we stick to every single health and safety protocol, regardless of who we play and when we play, because that is the most important thing. So from a coach, it's a huge challenge, but we know we're doing right by the guys by sticking to that. And I know the Big Ten and I know our university really believes in that.
Thanks, Darren. Back to Andy Greeter.
Coach, when you're building a roster, obviously you guys have done it through the high school ranks and through transfers. Are these 2 separate streams that you guys are going on, or are these kind of intertwined as you're putting together a team? How would you describe putting together a roster given those 2 different channels?
Well, this year was unique. We took David Mutov from Turkey. We'd never seen him play in person. Brandon Johnson and Liam Robbins and Booth Gotch saw Williams Arena for the first time the other day. Pretty crazy. So recruiting during COVID, like anything else you're doing in business or whatever, I mean, been very, very unique. Our college sports is evolving in front of us. Pandemic aside, you know, there's a huge, huge thing that could change at some point, which I believe will change, which is a one-time waiver for transfers. So you have to be ready in the spring You know, I thought we had maybe the best spring recruiting of anyone in the country. You got to be ready to do it. And it's evolving. I don't necessarily love taking transfers, to be quite honest with you, but it's kind of what's presented in front of us. And you got to be ready to do it. And when you lose guys early to the pros, which we're going to be fortunate enough to have back-to-back years, you have to be ready to sign guys in the spring. Well, when that one-time waiver thing does pass, and I believe it will, it's going to turn rosters upside down. Can't complain about it. I'm not complaining about it. You just have to make the best of it. So it's definitely changed since I got into the profession 15 years ago. And it just is what it is. And you got to work around it.
Go back to Darren Wolfson.
Richard, will Eric Curry play a week from tomorrow? And how has he evolved as a leader to earn one of those captain spots?
He will. He looks good. You know, I mean, we've been very, very conservative with his, rehab, predicting what happens a week from now. It feels like they'll be predicting 50 years from now in COVID terms. But if we had a game today, he'd play. I'll tell you that much. He's always been a good leader, but it's just the challenging part has been staying on the court. And we look better when he's out there. We look better coached. He makes me look like a better coach. He makes me feel like a better coach because he does the right things. He just understands how to play, and he's seen it. I mean, he's had season-ending injuries. He had a great freshman year. We go to the NCAA tournament. He sees kind of the heartache and the heartbreak of close losses. We bounce back. We beat Louisville in the NCAA tournament. So that experience factor is very, very important. He wants to be a coach one day, and that doesn't surprise me because he's got that type of disposition.
Thanks, Darren. Marcus Fuller, you're next.
I'll just add that with what Doogie was saying just about Eric, how important is it to have an experienced player behind Liam, when you lose, obviously, a Daniel Turu to the draft?
Well, it's hard to lose an All-American. You don't just replace them right away. And, it's always a challenge, regardless of Liam, Eric, Brandon, Sam, Jarvis, whoever. You're not necessarily going to replace them right away. But it is the older you can stay, the better you're always going to be. You got to try to stay old and you got to try to be healthy. Like Liam may be older, Booth may be older. They're new to our system. Brandon is new to our system. So the guys that are in the system, if they can help other guys, pull them along, teach them certain things that the coaches aren't always going to be able to do, that's very, very valuable. So to have Eric healthy is very, very important to our team.
Thanks, Marcus. Joe Schmidt, you're up next.
Yeah, coach, of the 6 new players, you've seen them work out. The fans haven't seen them yet. Which one of those 6 players do you think the fans will fall in love with the most?
Well, Minnesotans seem to like Minnesotans. So Booth is from Minnesota, so that's got to count for something. I really like them all, to be quite honest with you, Joe. I mean, now there's so many uncharted things that are going to happen. You're playing in front of empty arenas. There's going to be a mental adjustment for everybody, whether it's the 3 freshmen or the transfers. But I think they're all very, very talented. I think they all want to win. They're gym rats, and they're going to have good opportunities in front of them. So I'm excited about all 6 of them, to be honest. I thought we did a great job in the fall and in the spring of making this team better.
Thanks, Joe. AJ Condon, you're up.
Hey, Coach. Last week you had your 2 new signees sign their national letters of intent for the 2021 team. What are you looking forward to kind of jumpstart that recruiting class?
Well, we obviously Trayton Thompson committed early, kind of similar to Daniel Oturu in the sense of, wants to play for his home state, wants his family to be around, wants his friends to be around, wants to, hey, if we're off on a Sunday, be able to drive back to Alexandria and go hunting with his father. And that's what it's all about. It really is what it's all about. And we got one of the best players out of the state in that class. We're proud of that. You know, we may not get them all. We may not want them all. They may not fit the need of what we're trying to do. But Trayton was a, top 100 kid, one of the better players in the state. Very, very important for us to continue to get those guys. And Kenny Foto was a guy that I went and saw last year during the season. I flew out there, really, really liked him, have monitored his progress to the best of our ability. We felt like we needed bigs. With some of the older bigs in our program right now. They're both skilled. They've got length. They're high character guys that are about the right thing. So I think they'll fit in great. I'm excited to get them on campus. That's the other thing. Trayton's been here. We haven't seen Kenny in a while. So I can't wait for, the world to get back to normal to be able to spend some time with them.
Thanks, AJ. Mike Grimm, you're up.
Coach, do you have a schedule? How hard is this not to have dates on a calendar?
Very, very hard. And it's frustrating, but I understand it. We could put something out and make everybody feel better, but the reality of this thing is it's gonna have to change. There's gonna be disruption. To think that there's not gonna be disruption is just crazy. We're trying to play sports in a pandemic, and we're not in a bubble, and we're on a college campus. But as I've said before, and I think the Big Ten and everybody has said before, like the health and safety of the student athletes is the most important thing. So, we all in life probably look too far ahead, and we always probably, dwell on the past too much. If there's one positive out of the pandemic, I say it's that it's narrowed our focus to today. And so we're working on it. I know the Big Ten is working on it, but there's so many moving parts. But we're anticipating playing next Wednesday, and we're excited about it.
I have one more question in the queue, so we'll go to Darren Wilson with the last question.
Richard, touch on your other two captains, Gabe and Marcus, and what they've done to earn those spots.
Well, I think with both of them, obviously Marcus had a terrific year last year, and I think he'll be one of the best point guards in the country. He's a vocal leader. He wants to win. He's ruthless when it comes to competition and practice. He's got a throwback mentality. He has no problem with calling guys out because he competes his butt off in practice. And he wants to win. I think guys respect that. And he wants, he had an unbelievable offseason. He looks great. So you can always tell your game reflects what it is that you've done. And he's coming in the best shape of his life. And I think he's primed for to be one of the best point guards in the country. So our guys really, really respect him there. Gabe is one of those, I really believe, I don't like to talk about it. I like to be about it. I'm not one of those guys that constantly wants to talk. I want our actions to reflect what we're all about. And Gabe is that. It does not matter what day it is. If he had a good practice, if he had a bad practice, he's got his routine. He's committed to it every single day. And he may not be as vocal, but he's got just as many great leadership qualities as everybody else because of that. So I think all three captains bring something unique from a leadership standpoint. Fortunately, they've all, they've had ups, they've had downs. And in leadership, that's very, very important. So I think our locker room will be really, really good. I've said all along to our guys, we've got three opponents this year. We've got ourselves, the man in the mirror, which is very, very important to not let that beat you. You've got whoever's in front of you, the team that you're playing, and then you got COVID. And you need to be able to defeat all three in order to win. And you have to have great leadership in the locker room to do that. And I think we have that.
All right, thanks, Coach Pitino, for joining us today, and thanks everyone else for being on the call. And a little bit later, this call audio and video will be up on the virtual press box, so you can look for it there if you need anything. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Carl.
guys.
Thanks, Richard.
See ya.
Thanks, Coach.